Peace, y'all. Welcome back to the Law Life Academy YouTube channel. We're going to go into same topic, do not authenticate your birth certificate. We're doing a part 3 today. Before we get into all of that, I just want to let you all know, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. If you're a returning listener, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be notified when we release a new video. We're going to tie in this question here today. I'm not sure if I understand everything they're talking about here, but I'm going to try to speak to this because they're talking about authentication or apostille. Um, but we're going to try to also tie in the video that I was supposed to do a review for. So I'm going to try to be very quick. These videos are not meant to be, classes or lectures. They're just, exposing information so you can go just do your own research and make an informed decision. So let me just continue to move forward. So what I did here was I typed in, should we go ahead and authenticate the BC? All you're seeing is how much information is out there. And I mean, it's a litany. The list goes on. I'm sorry I moved so fast, but the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Interestingly enough, there's one other channel here that said something about, not having to authenticate the birth certificate. This channel here, Legal Notice and Demand, it said no need to authenticate the birth certificate. So there's another person out here that has that perspective. So interestingly enough, when I went on there, because I watched it, you can see it's red. I went on there, but they didn't go into any details, so I can't confirm or deny, what they're saying. But they did say, and I thought it was funny, that if you want to, just have your information recorded in or registered in one of these offices, you want to go ahead and do that. All right. So we're down here, do not authenticate. When I switched it, and I'm not going to do that now, should I not authenticate my birth certificate? We still don't pop up. We're kind of like a good portion, almost halfway down the page in terms of all this information, but that's neither here nor there. So right into the video that I've been asked to talk about, which is this one here. So this is a show that was done. I used to get information from this gentleman here. I started in 2014, shortly after he came to the public platforms, sharing his information. So I got some information from Jonah. So let's listen to what he has to say. All right.
And my body of work is vast, man. See, a lot, it's just like you said, so many people don't know my work. Mostly, I would say, and I'm not trying to exaggerate, y'all, I'm not trying to cap. I would say 70% of the information that's out now originated right here with Jonah Bay. I mean, 9-8 numbers. You know how many people teach people how to get 9-8 numbers? Do you know I started that? I taught people how to get that number. I went into the IRS manual and gave y'all the instructions straight from the IRS manual, right? Before that, no one did that. No one went into the public, read the IRS manual, their code, and said, this is the way you do it. Now, I waited years to show y'all what to do with the number. I just told y'all what to do with the number when I told you, well, that's the number for the Foreign Express Trust. You know what I mean? Authentication. Everyone does authentication. That came from Jonah Bay.
Yeah, not only.
And they didn't know what to do with it either. They didn't know what to do with it. I told them, yo, it's a counter deed. I said, you got to do the counter deed. You got to give it to your trust, right? You got to take the birth certificate out of the United States corporation. The only way to do that is through doing the authentication.
So I'm gonna pause right there. That was a lot, probably about 2 minutes that I played. Look, I want y'all to study this information and make an informed decision. Right? At the end of the day, everyone has their perspective, and we have to respect everyone's perspective, right? I don't necessarily agree with this perspective. Some of the language I'm not necessarily fond of. So first, 70% of the information he claims is his. Everyone's doing authentication, he says, which came from him. Now, I showed you everyone and their mother is on here saying that you need to do authentication. So maybe there's some credence to what he's saying. I don't know if everyone gives him, any credence for, the fact that they know that information. Maybe they know, some way, shape, or form it came through him or by means of him or something. But nonetheless, it's kind of hard for you to argue some of the topics because everybody uses the same, jargon, the same terminologies. So you say, authentication, and everybody's thinking about, supposedly getting you out of the United States jurisdiction. Now, that's a clear statement that was made, that at the end of the day, um, the only way to get out of their jurisdiction, according to Jonah, is for you to authenticate the birth certificate. So I'm going to let him speak a little bit more on the birth certificate, and then I'll come back to it in terms of today's video. Let's hear what he got to say.
Now check this out. As we start shaming our family members and assisting our loved ones, Jonah, Vericheck, Vital Check, they're not issuing them long forms no more. They put the kibosh on them.
I know that.
I know that. Now, I ain't speak to you about that, but I'm sure you covered that. But,
Yeah, I know that. After the first year and a half, I taught y'all, they got the long form, which what y'all would call the what's the name form? The live birth.
Regular live birth.
Yes. And then they have the short form, which is the birth certificate. Right? I dropped all that and taught y'all the difference between that. And I said y'all needed both. And they cut that shit out. They cut that shit out about 6 years ago. Something like that. Yeah, they cut that out. So I tell you now, right. I tell you now, it doesn't matter which one you get. Just do it and authenticate it. They changed it. It ain't me changing shit up. They be changing shit up.
So here's the first part, right? Doesn't matter which form, authenticate it. All right, keep going.
Now, remember, now look at the graduate. Right after that, they did that funny apostille shit.
All right, now they want to throw you off.
They flipped that shit talking about paternity. Let me get it out.
Okay.
Right? So listen, I go to the Secretary of State. I'm like, my nigga, I want it authenticated. Mm-hmm. They're like, no, we only do apostille. I said, Joe, is that law or is that office policy? He was like, oh, it's standard. I was like, can you give it to me in writing that it's not law, that it's office policy, because I'm gonna test that. He was like, no. And he gave me some apostille bullshit, some Hague Convention. Now, once again, so they stopped letting you do the regular law, they stopped doing you the long form, then they forced everybody into apostille, right? And then right after that, George Floyd, then they betted you on a 9H for like 4 months. The whole department was closed.
I heard.
Right? Then when they come back online, they say you can't get a 9A unless you got a social. I got around that. Me and Sister Jessica Bay, we got around that, but it got tight again. And they say, so I'm like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I told y'all, see, this is what I'm saying. When y'all call in as Americans speaking perfect English, that's the issue.
Right.
I told y'all just have one of y'all motherfucking friends calling with an accent. I don't care if it's Jamaican, Puerto Rican, whatever. They don't say that to them.
Oh. I had this question for a minute. Listen. You know how
this is the part that I want y'all to pay attention to.
We doing authentication and you like, yo, boom. Use a nation that's not a signatory of the Hague, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, it was a conversation I was privy to, and the brother was saying that because we never used that document, because when they asked me, like, yo, when you going to be using this document? I'm like, yo, I'm going to motherfucking Taiwan or Abu Dhabi, and I need proof that, I ain't motherfucking from somewhere else. I'm from here. So I want you to Secretary of State authenticate this shit. They saying that because I didn't do business in Taiwan, I ain't never doing business there with that document, I'm committing fraud.
Bullshit.
Is that true? because I haven't.
Bullshit.
All right. I had to get
First
that
of
out.
all, have you ever bought anything from AliExpress?
My whole fucking life, I shopped from Taiwan.
Then you did business
I'm a New
with
York
them.
nigga. We shop for
Then
everything.
you did business
Taiwan.
with them.
That's live. Peace.
I won.
So that was heavy.
I feel like this is why a lot of y'all are confused. So we're going to continue to play the second half of this because I think there's a little bit more. And then I'll go into today's lesson.
And we've been arguing about that.
Yeah, niggas, you know, what kills me is this. People always try to poke holes in what I teach with their opinion. But you know, and I know right there on the birth certificate, when it comes back, authenticated, you know what laws is on there. You know, I taught it by law. And to me, no one could try to bring up an argument when you're talking about your opinion and I'm quoting their laws. To me, just shut the fuck up.
Well, that's as much as I'm gonna play as far as the rest of that video that just got really, really, really exciting for a second. You know, I could say I'm not gonna, shut the hell up. I'm just teasing. Listen, y'all, I'm trying my hardest not to, speak to every word that is being uttered in these two clips that I shared with y'all. I just wanted y'all to have a foundation as to where a lot of this is really stemming from. And, you can check it out. There's a couple platforms that are out there, and a lot of these people, they recycle each other's information. What makes Law Life Academy different? We choose to use and maximize our brain. We don't follow, we lead. So, what do we mean by that? We lead by putting in the work, studying the information, and coming up with conclusive evidence as to what we need to do based on the resources that we're looking at. Now, we formulate strategies to, get us the results that we're looking for in terms of when we implement those strategies. And we, for the most part, we achieve what it is that we set out to do. So, as it relates to this BC, which most people put it into the status correction category. And it is really status correction if you do it correctly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, and this is the law that was given to me when we came into it. So here's what everybody quotes because it says it right here, birth certificates. And this is the rule that they quote, right? So I'm not going to go all through lecturing on this. I'm just going to read it to you all and go over a couple things and then I'll move on. So, the registrar of titles. If you don't know who a registrar of titles is in Minnesota, they're specifically called registrar of titles, but some of their counties or towns they're called clerks. So it's just a clerk of court. All right. So the clerk of court is authorized to receive for registration of memorials. A lot of y'all don't know, and y'all need to go look up these terms. But this is very big here. The registration of memorials, right? Upon any outstanding. What is outstanding? Listen to their language. They're telling you you can register these memorials upon any outstanding certificate of title. That's what's outstanding. This is what needs to be claimed right here, certificate of title. Now, they're saying an official birth certificate. They didn't say authenticated birth certificate. They said official right here. Pertaining to a registered owner named in said certificate of title, registered owner, person is named in the certificate of title, right? Twice. Showing the date of birth, DOB, right? Of said registered owner. So the registered owner is the one and the same in the document. I just want you to catch on. Providing there is attached. So what do they want? They want, in addition to that information, they want you to attach to said birth certificate. Here's what they want: an affidavit. We don't teach affidavits over here. We use affirmations. But in any instance, an affidavit of an affiant who states, and this is what literally people were told to do: copy and paste this into a document, which is insane. Neither here nor there. But they want an affidavit of an affiant who states that he or she is familiar with the facts recited. What facts are they talking about? That this DOB, that the name of the owner, all pertain to including this official birth certificate and outstanding certificate of title, right? So these are things that are being reported. All right. So stating that the party named in said birth certificate is the same party as one of the owners named in said certificate of title. Now, why did they go from singular here with owner, right, to plural here with owners? Because there's three owners to your actual birth certificate, at least if you have three owners on there. All right. So that's mommy, daddy, and baby. All right. So, and that thereafter. Now, here's the part that kills me. For those that don't know how to read, you know, their punctuation marks, this right here represents a full stop. Like this is really a complete um paragraph up here because it's a little bit run on, but it's a complete, paragraph. And now they're starting something new. So it's like, if you do shift enter and then just hit enter, then this drops down to here. All right. So this is what it says. So after you do this, the registrar of titles, clerk of courts, shall treat said registered owner, notice this is the singular again, right, as having attained the age of majority at the date 18 years after the date of birth shown by said certificate. Now, a lot of y'all are so confused by this, and I know y'all want me to explain all of this, but it's right here in your face. What you need is not an authenticated document. You need to claim an outstanding certificate of title. It is outstanding because it hasn't been claimed. It is outstanding because it hasn't been claimed. Wait, you'll get it. It is outstanding because it hasn't been claimed. Hold on. It is outstanding because it hasn't been claimed. It is outstanding because it hasn't been claimed. Now, what y'all do with the authentication of the birth certificate is realistically you're taking the registration and you're proving it to be genuine. Just pay attention. All right. Y'all don't believe me, so here's my proof because I'm well over my time. This is the longest video that we've done, so we'll keep it moving for you though. Boom. I'm going to go into and show you what a certificate of title is. Boom. And this is all in their place. So certificate of title. Shoot. I know you can't see the rest of the title piece. I apologize. I didn't even check this one to see if that was going to be an issue. All right, my bad. Maybe if I shrink it, yeah, there you go. So if you see it now it says certificate of title. So it says certificate number, first certificate of title. First, right? This is the creation of it. The first certificate of title was this number, right? And it was registered on that date. Now, here's what they want you to know. This is the state, this is the county. This is to certify that they give you two people's name, right? Because this is not for the BC. This is a little bit different, but they go through it. Whose address is, who are the owners, same thing, right? So they want owners, right? And they capture some personal information for these individuals, but this is for land, so this is the lot. But I want you to pay specific attention to down here. The above property is known as, and they list it out. So subject to the encumbrances, liens, and interest noted by the memorial, underwritten or endorsed hereon, and subject to the following rights or encumbrances subsisting as provided in Minnesota, so on and so forth. So they just let you know that there's some things that might be, in play in terms of commerce up and against your property. So at right in public highways, upon the land, the lien of any real property tax. So, liens, claims, rights arising, so on and so forth. And then they sign it, right? But down here is the interesting part because here's where the memorials are, right? So now they're going to go into, and you can see all the things that they were required to do, right? Which is right there. So let me come out of here real quick. That's the certificate of title. And then I wanted you all to pay strict attention to this one here. Let me see if I go back to Minnesota if it says it. So they're authorized to receive, right? Authorized to receive this thing here, right? But what you need to know is that they have a protocol for how you're supposed to go through it. So they have an application. So typically it's called a petition. Now, I apologize. These documents are not specifically to the birth certificate. I don't even know what's going on. Why it just froze on me. But now I can't even find my screen. Okay. I guess that's my time to end the video. in any instance, the screen just went blank. I don't know what's going on as far as the feature that I was just looking at. But one of the things I wanted to do was to go through it. There it is. And I wanted to read to you so you have a better understanding. I should have done that first before I did that. So this is just from uh, one of the practicing individuals out there. So they go through what the torrent title is, so y'all be able to look that up. The players. So this is what they're going to tell you: register of titles. Each county is required to have a register of titles. In all but a few counties, they're not called that; they're called county recorders, right? Clerk of courts. All right. So they have an examiner of titles. So this is the protocol that you have to go through. So this is a lawyer appointed by the court to assist with the registrar and the court, right? So they examine application, right? And then they provide that information to the court, and the court provides documentation. So here's the documentation: certificate of title. This is the evidence of ownership. See, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. A certificate of authentication, or an authentication certificate, is evidence of the actual certificate or registry. This, a certificate of title, for those that are confused, talks about ownership. That's why they use the term owner. I often analogize this to an automobile title. You could use automobile land title, right? It shows the name of the owner, it describes the property, and lists any encumbrances or other burdens on the title. These are called memorials. So that's where, if you have any debts, any liens, any so on and so forth, that's on there, right? Um, Now, what is the procedure? Application to register title. So this is the first thing. They give you an example, right? But they show you, here's what you have to do. You have to apply, right? And then as you go through this whole procession, right, they get you into their system. So this is what I want you to see. The title registration offers owners the peace of mind that, and they're talking about boundaries in this one, but that's fine. One important aspect of Torrance property is that it is not subject to claims of an adverse possession. So this is one of the reasons you would want to use their system. The registered owner will not lose their title or title to their property just because someone else has occupied and used the land for 15 years. All right, so pay attention. This is a unique aspect in Minnesota. All right. If you register title, you protect the land from adverse collect claims. I don't know why I'm saying collections. And if you set judicial landmarks, you establish the location of the boundaries underground by a court order. All right. So once title is registered and the judicial landmarks place the boundaries on the land within the boundaries are, for all practical purposes, safe from ever being challenged. No court has jurisdiction to change their title. All right. So then they go in, and like I said, they show you exactly what that looks like. So I just wanted to provide some information to you all so you can see. And I know that was kind of choppy. I know I kind of did it real quick. I'm not here to necessarily teach you. I just want to expose you to the information so you can see it and learn it for yourself. All right. With that being said, be on the lookout. We're still trying to push um, our webinar for January 1st, and I think there's the 17th. I can't remember off the top of my head. It might be the 15th as well. But we'll have those solidified. I'm still having some challenges with the website, but this is how I'm trying to stay grounded with y'all. So check out these videos, check out the information. Make sure you watch part 1, 2, and 3 of this Do Not Authenticate Your Birth Certificate, because you all are failing to realize that the thing that was mentioned by Jonah was the fact that he told you all about the counter date, right? But that's not accomplished through an authentication. I just want to be clear. And the information that I'm going to share next is all prescribed in law. The problem is that majority of these people don't know what the law is, and therefore they cannot follow it. Now, with that being said, I will say this also, that there are some nuances to the process that I just overall I take the path of least resistance in their process. So I've never shared that openly with you all. I've talked about it on IG. We've taken down a lot of our IG posts, old posts. You might want to go back to our Blog Talk Radio shows, June of 2021, 2020, and is it 20? Yeah, 2020, I believe, and then or 2021, whichever one, and then you'll be able to just get some of that old information that we were disseminating back then. So just to stop me from running on, I appreciate y'all for checking out this information. Leave any feedback and we'll get back to y'all. Peace.